Of course, in theory, I would love for human beings to have jobs over AI replacing them, but I cannot sympathize with the developers and journalists who have wrecked the video game industry getting laid off. And now we're finding out that the escapists and other gaming sites are hit with mass layoffs amidst a focus on AI editors, and I can't say I'm going to shed a tear for them. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I have consistently said this for a long time. I would rather human beings have jobs and be able to work instead of AI just replacing everybody. I think that it is a very dangerous situation that we are headed towards. But ultimately, I can't sit here and shed a tear for each of these individual people that are video game journalists who are now losing these positions. And I can't sit here and fight for them. I can't stand beside them because these are the types of people who have done irreparable damage to our industry that we all love so much and that we actually care about. These people could not make it at mainstream sites like MSNBC. And so what they did was they said, this is a big industry and we can make money off of the stupid gamers. And so they've infected this space, they've pushed narratives, they've gotten developers to change their games, and when they don't get their way, they make demands. They say, if you don't make your game what we want, we're going to bomb your game. We're going to give it bad reviews. We're not going to cover it if we don't like your political opinions. And so it has led to a bad situation. The only reason that this industry is struggling because of these journos, no, but they are a major factor. And we had found out a few months ago that more than 1,200 games journalists have left the media in the last 2 years. According to Press Engine data, the global pool of game journalists has shrunk by 25%. But what is so hilarious about this is that people are looking to independent content creators who share their similar opinions instead of just being force fed an opinion by these journos. The access media is a fucking joke at this point. This is why nobody trusts Kotakus and Polygons and the gamers and even the escapists. And well, now they are facing the consequences of their own actions. If over the past couple of years they hadn't attacked gamers, they actually knew what made a game good or bad, and ultimately they were standing with us, then we would fight for them and we would defend them. But that isn't going to happen. So it says, in another bleak turn for games media, the marketing company ClickOut has carried out mass layoffs at several of its websites, including The Escapist, Video Gamer, and Esports Insider. It seems one of the primary reasons for the move is to pivot to more AI-generated content. According to reporting by Insider Gaming, ClickOut Media will maintain a small staff of AI editors after the firings. How many, if any, human writers remain at these sites is unclear, in part because former employees were apparently forced to sign NDAs about the layoffs in order to receive severance payouts. Kat Bussell, the former senior editor at Video Gamer, posted on Blue Sky that she and her team were laid off from the site, and Lloyd Combs, the escapist, wrote that he had been a victim of redundancy as well. So we are seeing tons of these people laid off and fired and let go, even though I have a lot of examples of these journalists having these terrible opinions. I also want to remind you guys that there was a time that these people were trusted. There is a reason why these sites got so big in the first place. The problem is that it has been so many years since they have been trustworthy and we have been able to rely on them that it's hard to remember that. So I know there are going to be a few people who say, well, I remember when they were good. I'm sure you do. And that's cool. I mean, we need to remember the past, obviously, but it's like with video game developers, just because they made something good 20 years ago doesn't mean they could make something good today, doesn't mean they're talented today. And with these activists, we know that, well, They're not very good at what they do anymore, if they ever were. My problem is the attacks we have seen on gamers over the years. This is a PC Gamer article that says Gooner Game of the Year Stellar Blades mods are 41% smut, ensuring gamers will never see the light of heaven. They are complaining that there are gamers who would dare to mod Stellar Blade and make Eve even more revealing. We have the gamer previously posting about how Ashley's underwear in Resident Evil is not censorship, even though it is. These people don't even know what the word censorship means. I talked about this in a video a couple of days ago, but The Guardian had said this shouldn't be normal. Developers speak out about bigotry on Steam, the world's biggest PC gaming storefront, and they ran defense for games like Reloaded. They said that the targeted campaigns of negative anti-woke reviews are killing games, and for some developers, one bad review can tank their studio, and how we are being unfair, we are being rude. They said that there's abuse particularly directed towards transgender and female creators. They're just furious that we speak out on what we dislike that is happening in this industry. Also, a few days ago, we saw Mike Drucker, who fancies himself a comedian, saying this is a great time for games, so why does it feel so bad? And he's saying that we shouldn't be happy when things fail, and we should just praise the high guards and the Concord so they can all survive and everything is able to exist. And that's just not going to happen. If something is bad, people are allowed to say it is bad. Maybe these developers should make better games, and maybe these video game journalists shouldn't have attacked their core audience of readers that they needed to actually show up in order to make money and in order to be relevant. Maybe they should have gotten on the same page as gamers because we are their customers, but that didn't happen. Mike Drucker also said, we don't need to be such downers. Listen, I get that it is sad when you see a game you were excited for being canceled, and I know that it is sad that sometimes we like games that don't do as well as we truly believe they should have, but not everything can survive in this type of market, and developers need to go above and beyond in order to be extremely successful in this space, and clearly small teams can find massive success. Look at what happened with Team Cherry and Hollow Knight and Silksong. Look at what happened with Sandfall Interactive, with Claire Obscure Expedition 33. A lot of developers that have been wildly successful, like with Mugenics, have not been always given the million chances that AAA has been given. Sure, in some of these cases, there were developers who moved from sort of the large AAA mainstream companies in order to make their own games, but they still did it themselves, which is commendable. Yeah, when it comes to video game journalists, I can't sit here and say that I feel all that bad, because over the years we have been disrespected by these types of people so many times that it is hard to feel sympathy for them. Of course, again, they're human beings, right? I think human beings should have jobs. I don't think AI should be replacing everybody, but a lot of people are not even reading these websites anymore. A lot of people are not interacting with them. And these journalists could ultimately become independent creators themselves. If they are truly so skilled and so passionate, they could start YouTube channels. They could start their own websites and blogs. They could post on platforms like X and Blue Sky and get exclusive interviews and information. And they could still create a platform for themselves, but will they? No, because they never actually cared about this industry. They just saw it as an easy way to make a quick buck, like the Anita Sarkeesians, the Brianna Woos, the Zoe Quinns. It hasn't worked out for any of them because they weren't truly passionate. So I'll be keeping my eye on what is happening with video game journos and developers. A lot of people are getting fired right now, but when this industry just made $198 billion in revenue in 2025, it's not like this industry is going under and it is completely failing. And really, I don't think anybody relies on these journos for information anyway anymore. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.